Arron Banks made the single biggest donation in British political history when he passed £8 million to the unofficial Brexit campaign. This week he was referred by the Electoral Commission to the National Crime Agency, which investigates serious and organised crime. In particular, the Commission doesn't believe Mr Banks when he says that he was the real source of that money. He's with you now. Were you the real source of that money?
Well, thank you for having me on, first of all. Of course I was. The money came from a UK-registered company. It was generated from cash, generated from businesses in the UK, and the whole misunderstanding revolves around the role of Rock Holdings as a holding company. Well, before we start, I'd just like to say, absolutely for the record, there was no Russian money and no interference of any type.
All right, well, let's follow the money, as it were.
I just want to be absolutely clear about that.
So, where did the money come from? When it went into Leave.eu's accounts, where did the money come from?
The money came from Rock Services, which was a UK limited company. It was generated out of insurance business written in the UK. It's contrary to some of the press reports in the FT and other Remain Leaning publications. We insure nearly 500,000 customers a year, the size of Manchester. We turn over £250 million of premium. It's a sizable business.
Well, I'll come on to that in a moment.
I'm just making clear where it came from.
Just to clear out where it came from. So, Rock Services is what we call a shell company. It doesn't do much of its own, does it?
Well, it's a service company, but it's a UK-based service company.
It doesn't generate that kind of money.
I'm telling you that it came from insurance business written in the UK. So, Rock Holdings is a holding company based in the Isle of Man that owns Rock Services.
So, did any of the money coming into the Leave.eu come from Rock Holdings?
Well, that's where I'm confused with the Electoral Commission referring this to the police. We've not been asked by the Electoral Commission to actually produce our bank statements. I think we have produced them to your show. And what is absolutely clear is it's a holding company, and during 15 and 16 there were no sizable amounts of money went into Rock Holdings. It is not possible for any money to have come from Rock Holdings to Rock Services.
So Rock Holdings was not connected in any way to money going into Leave.eu?
No, absolutely not.
It all came from Rock Services?
Correct.
Now, you told MPs that the money came from, quote, another company that I own. Which other company was it?
Oh, I've said it, Rock Services is where the money came from. It was generated from insurance profits made there.
Well, you told MPs that Rock Services just delivers the cash. The actual loan came from another one of my companies. Ask again, what was the other company?
Well, the structure of the company is that Rock Holdings is the holding company that is the owner of a number of different companies, Rock Services, Southern Rock Insurance, and other businesses.
So, I ask again, what was the company that gave you the loan?
I'm saying that, you know, it's UK-generated cash from my group of companies. There was no money came from the Isle of Man Rock Holdings. That is what is at question with the Electoral Commission.
Well, the Electoral Commission simply doesn't believe you about that.
Well, then why haven't they asked for the bank statements?
Well,
the company they're questioning.
You've given me the bank statements, but it's only a snapshot, and some of it's redacted. It doesn't really prove anything.
Well, you can have the unredacted copy if you want, but it's not fair to put people's bank details there, is it? You know,
and we don't know how many bank accounts Rock Holdings has.
In any event, Andrew, you could keep on going on that line of questioning forever, couldn't you?
Why not? in a sense, I mean, Rock Holdings, let's be honest, is an Isle of Man company, which is opaque.
Yeah. I want to put
Why is it opaque?
Well, the Isle of Man holding company owns international businesses and it owns businesses in the UK. You know, the Remain campaign got money from Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan.
That's irrelevant to this.
No, it's not irrelevant.
It's irrelevant to this. This is about what money went into Leave.eu and where it came from.
It's not irrelevant because those are foreign-owned entities that own UK subsidiaries. We went to a QC to get the loan structure signed off, and he signed it off. And we put it forward in the correct form.
I've seen that judgment, and the point is he doesn't refer to either Rock Holdings or Rock Services. It was about a different issue. I'm asking you again, where did the money come from?
Rock Services.
And where did the money come in? So the money came into Rock Services.
We have an
where?
insurance business that generates a large amount of cash, 20 to 25 million pounds a year. We insure 500,000 customers.
So this is the same company. They made a loss of £32 million in 2016.
Well, you're referring to a different company there. You're referring to Southern Rock Insurance that made 42 million the year before.
So which company is this that you're referring to now? Which is the company that you're talking about?
I'm saying Rock Services did not... You just made a number up.
I'm just asking you, what is the money?
You've literally just made a number up.
I haven't made a number up.
Rock Services did not lose £32 million last year.
I'm reading Financial Times copy for
Yes,
June.
of course you are.
The Gibraltar-based insurance company owned by Arron Banks made a loss of £32 million in 2016.
That is not Rock Services. The previous year to that, it made £42 million. It's a series of inter-company transactions.
It's the Southern Rock Insurance
Look, I don't want to get heated with you.
No, I'm just asking you where the money came from.
You're talking about two different things there. The money came from Rock Services, went to Leave.eu. That's a UK-based company that had the cash to donators.
But in a sense, that doesn't really tell us
anything, unless
we know where the money came into
now you're trying
Rock Services from.
Say, well, I need to understand all of your finances.
Yeah,
why?
In a sense, because we need to know where the money came from.
Well,
there are lots of people who don't think you're as rich as you say you are and don't really believe it's your money and it came from somewhere else.
So BDO valued our business at £250 million in November 17, based on an EBITDA of something like 32 million, which I'll happily provide that sort of valuation. But I want to read to you what the Electoral Commission...
Why can't you give us the account?
Why can't you let me get a word in edgeways here?
All right, come on then.
It says, this is from the Electoral Commission. I'm concerned that the only source of information is at best hearsay evidence. They describe me as enfant terrible. They go on to say this is potentially a fishing expedition, and the case officer says, I do not think an investigation would be appropriate.
But now they've changed their mind and they did investigate you, and you were found guilty of misreporting.
Yeah, and I'm just going to come on to that. So that's their initial position. They then go on to say, in addition, we will need to write to Stephen Kinnett to advise of our decision to investigate. This is a politically motivated...
It's not. This is all irrelevant. This is the Electoral Commission have gone into your...
I'm sorry, this is not irrelevant. Then why didn't they ask me for bank statements and Rock Holdings?
Well, I don't know why they didn't, but...
Well, you tell me.
Certainly the National Crime Agency can look at all of these things and can presumably follow the money.
The National Crime Agency have had a referral from an Electoral Commission to investigate this. We're happy with that. We're going to cooperate with them. But I'm telling you that the Electoral Commission did not ask for our bank statements. Why?
To really resolve this, we need the paper trail of the money that went into Leave.eu, and we haven't got that. We haven't seen the money coming into Leave.eu, and we don't know where the money came.
That's all been evidenced to the Electoral Commission.
Well,
the whole thing.
We have seen no documents showing the money coming in.
But it's not the almighty arbiter of the Electoral Commission law. We sent this to the Electoral Commission. Well, I mean, in another point, by the way, they fined us for overspending. They said, well, we overspent by 10% of the 750. They then, in court papers, when we've taken them to court, say there appears to be a transcription error.
In a sense,
77,000 is now 55,000.
This is all getting too complicated.
Yeah, well, it would be now. You just want to smear me.
No, I don't want to smear you. I want to know £8 million, biggest donation in British political history, came from companies involved with you into Leave.eu. Where did the money originally come from?
It's not like I'm using a super injunction to try and hide my affairs.
Where did the money originally come from?
I'm telling you, it came from a UK company that had cash generated in the UK.
Which UK company?
Rock Services. We've evidenced that to the Electoral Commission.
Rock Services is a shell company. It doesn't generate money.
You just said it's a shell company. You just read the FT.
Well, no, I don't. We go along to Companies House and we look.
The FT, by the way, in their analysis...
We go along to Companies House and we look.
The FT, in their analysis of my business affairs, missed out a whole company that supplies nearly 85% of the underwriting of my business. They've selected... Let's be honest about why this is happening.
This should be easy for you to answer.
It should be very
easy for you to answer. What was the company that generated £8 million?
I've answered it. Rock Services.
But Rock Services is not a trading company.
Well, we're going to have to agree to differ on that. I think I know my business affairs better than you.
What does Rock Services do that generates that kind of money?
Rock Services has all sorts of revenue. It generates some
all sorts of revenue.
Income.
What kind of revenue?
We insure 500,000 people in the UK, Andrew.
Rock Services.
Turn over
Rock Services itself insures 500,000 people.
It's a group of companies. I know it's complex for journalists to understand.
It's not complex.
It's just
it looks like a company which doesn't generate that kind of money.
As far as I'm concerned, I've given you the answer to the question. We know what this is about. This is about undermining Article 50. It's undermining the Brexit result, and it's a collection of very vicious Labour MPs that have grouped together with The Guardian and FT to try to undermine Brexit. We've provided the bank statements to you. You say they're redacted.
You've provided Rock Holdings bank statements.
Rock Holdings.
You haven't provided us with detailed the ins and outs of money going into Rock Services, which is
Holdings,
crucial.
No, it's crucial that it was reported that Rock Holdings was the source of donation. We've said no money went into Rock Services or Rock Holdings or very limited amounts, and now you're saying, well, we must know the source of it. Rock Services.
No, I'm asking you the source of the money that went into Rock Services.
It's a UK company. that generated the cash, and we'll be able to evidence that easily.
There is no evidence of that kind of money in Rock Services accounts, which
Right,
we have looked for in Companies House.
I'm sorry, what you're saying is wrong.
So the Companies House returns are wrong?
I'm saying what you're saying is your understanding of it is wrong. But, you know, we're at the point now, aren't we, where, you know, we know the Electoral Commission have got a bias on this. The chairman has called it a collection of nonsense.
The MPs are biased. The Financial Times is biased. Everybody is biased against you. Well,
it's the Remain part of the equation. It's 52 versus 48.
It's beginning to sound a bit like a conspiracy theory. Well, the MPs' committee is terribly biased against you. They're all dreadful Remainers. The Electoral Commission are the same. I don't know about you think the National Crime Agency are biased against you as well.
I don't think they are, and I think they're going to see it for what it is. But I go back to what the Electoral Commission said when their own case enforcement officer said you shouldn't be opening up a case on press speculation.
You told Parliament that Rock Services was just a service company. You've told me something very different today.
I haven't seen the actual transcript of that. I will go back and look at that. But I'm telling you that the source of the funding was Rock Services.
Well, one of the things the Electoral Commission says is that you kept changing your story. Why do you keep changing your story?
I don't think we have. We just expanded on it, gave the advice. You know,
well, first of all, you said it came from me. Then you said it came from Rock Services.
It has come from me. I am Rock Services. The companies belong to me. You know, I'm a UK taxpayer. The source of my funding, as long as it's legitimate and it's in the UK, is legitimate.
So, do you own Rock Holdings? Can I ask you?
Yes.
You are the main shareholder and also the owner of Rock Holdings.
Yes.
And Rock Holdings has no connection with the money.
It's a group of insurance businesses that I own. Yeah. I don't know how to be any plainer than that.
Right. But so show us the leave.eu accounts in that case. Can you do that?
Yeah, the leave.eu accounts have been given to the Electoral Commission. They've opined on our spending.
Well,
they've been through it. In fact, the Electoral Commission actually said that our loan structure was not wholly untransparent in their findings. What does "it's not wholly untransparent" mean, Andrew?
A bit opaque, possibly. I don't know.
It's not wholly untransparent. That means it's transparent.
Let's go right back to the beginning again and ask you. Let's do that. So there is this company, Rock Services, which you say is a massive insurance company.
By the way,
massive insurance company which can generate £8 million of spare cash.
I'm not going to circle back. I've made my position crystal clear. You disagree with that position. You know, the FT Guardian disagree.
I mean, we've looked at this. We don't see how Rock Services can generate £8 million quid.
Are we not at the position where the Electoral Commission have referred it? We will explain ourselves and the accounting that went behind it, and I'm very happy with it.
Well, it's not just us. The DCMS Select Committee says it is unclear where Arron Banks obtained this money. He failed to satisfy us that his own donations had, in fact, come from sources within the UK.
Let's talk about real politics. You know, the Electoral Commission sat on this for 5 months. We've had no allegations put to us by the Electoral Commission, no correspondence in 5 months. They're due up in front of the committee on Tuesday, and what's going to happen is they're going to say, oh, well, it's not any of our business anymore. It's now over to the National Crime Agency, aren't they?
But you
5 months without any correspondence
about the Electoral Commission, right? You said bite me. You said bite me, and they bit you.
They haven't bitten me.
They've sent you to the NCA.
Look, if you thought about the number of corrupt politicians that have sat in this chair over the years, you have to say, what is the Electoral Commission?
Well,
it's a bunch of ex-MPs from the SNP, Liberal Party.
This is what you do.
I'm sorry, but
this is what you do.
What do you mean this is what I do?
When people ask you questions, you smear other people, say they're all corrupt, they're all dreadful.
I'm sorry, how can it be right for our democracy to be overseen by former ex-politicians and MPs?
How can it be right for our democracy?
How can it be right?
How can it be good for our democracy when you respond to criticisms by Damien Collins, who's chair of that committee, a Conservative MP, by writing to his constituents, calling him a snake in the grass?
Well, he is.
So you write to every one of his constituents. That is old-fashioned, straightforward bullying, isn't it?
No, it's not. I mean, straightforward bullying, by the way, is the Guardian blackmailing a researcher of Isabel Oakeshott, and actually then Lord Ashcroft had to fly over to New Zealand.
Of all the things I want to talk about, Isabel Oakeshott is down at the bottom of my list.
I'm sure it is.
What I do want to ask you about is today's Observer story, where it is suggested there's been a great tranche of emails come out of Eldon Insurance, your insurance company in Bristol, which show that people were working there both for the insurance company and for Leave.eu. Was that reported?
Now, I can say that was reported to the Electoral Commission, and people that did work from Eldon were transferred over on short-term contracts legally and then it was reported through the Electoral Commission in the right way. This is where a lot of this confusion comes from. You're talking about emails that were stolen from us, and you say you don't want to talk about Isabel Oakeshott.
I really don't.
I know you don't, because the guy was blackmailed and had to be flown back to Australia.
I want to ask you one other thing.
And I've got a lovely bit here from the BBC, by the way.
There is a quote. There is a quote in today's Sunday Times from you saying that you regret voting for Leave, that if you had your time over again, you'd vote Remain. Is that true?
Well, I think what I said was that the corruption I've seen in British politics, the sewer that exists, and the disgraceful behaviour of the government over what they're doing with Brexit and how they're selling it out, means that if I had my time again, I think we would have been better to probably Remain and not unleash these demons.
OK, Arron Banks, now thank you very much indeed.